the gentleman we have doing this Ask Me Anything today, his name is Jeremy Larkin, and he did a agent power huddle a couple of weeks ago that I was just telling him before we clicked record. It was one of the most impactful 30 minutes I've had in a really long time. Like seriously, I don't know if you realize that, Jeremy, but I've known Jeremy for a long time, and you don't expect your friends to your friends are impressive. Like I'm proud of my friends, but you don't expect them to rock your core to a deep level that I've been telling everyone about this call. Like seriously, I'm like, live by design. I've been driven but I was just like, I've been totally messing it up. My wife doesn't love when I'm driven. My kids don't love when I'm driven. So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch the Agent Power Huddle that Jeremy did. Jeremy, how are you doing today, man?
Amazing. And you're seeing me pretty recently off a mountain bike ride. So it's kind of fun. I live in St. George, Utah. I'm going to show you something. This is my bald head. So look at this hat, you guys. So this is my buddy Lynx commercial. It's a commercial real estate hat. So you can kind of see there's a Lynx outfit, like a Lynx, the shape of a Lynx cat.
Yep.
So look at the top. So guys, here's where we live. That's a lake. That's a houseboat on Lake Powell, a desert tortoise, which is like an endangered species here, a mountain biker, and golf. So that is, when he did it, I was like, you beat me to the coolest branded thing I've ever seen. Like he got seriously, San Diego, you guys ought to do it. It's like he got everything in one little tiny thing.
It's pretty cool. What is his company?
It's called Lynx Properties, Lynx. Okay. So anyway, I'm straight off a mountain bike ride, and the coolest thing with Zoom and the pandemic, I mean, you're like, is there anything cool with the pandemic? Is that you get to do things. Remember 24 months ago, like a few people would get on one of these in a cycling jersey and a hat, but now it's completely okay. You know what I mean?
Dude, I was running this morning. I was like literally out on a run. And then I realized we had some changes go behind the scenes on Agent Power Huddle. So I quickly got home and I came in from my run. I actually put on a button-up shirt and realized I was like dripping sweat through my button-up shirt and shut my camera off and changed into a black t-shirt while I was sitting on, and came back. I'm like, hey guys, I changed my shirt.
Yeah. Like no one cares.
No.
Right?
No one cares. All right, so let's dive into this. We've got a bunch of user submitted questions. If you're watching live on Facebook, let's see, I got to open my other monitor. We are talking to a by design expert. And I'm just going to start with my own question. If you can sum it up in a couple sentences.
Yeah.
We called you a by design expert. What does that mean?
And you guys, he talked about the other, the last time I was on with you guys. Being by design, and I think I can give you a short answer. I'll give you a short answer and then a slightly long answer. The short answer is intentionally looking ahead, down the road, and maybe it's a year, but it's probably like 3 to 5 years, and saying, what do we want this to look like, and planning your business around it. Okay, and there's a kind of a fun story that will be super short about this that happened yesterday. I'm at home, as you guys can see. So my office, ironically, is 2 blocks from here, like 2 city square blocks. But I was riding my bike and it's just easy here. So yesterday, I had a builder over here. We're going to renovate this home. So I live in an old home downtown, historic downtown St. George, Utah. So it looks nice, right? It's a pretty home, but when we get done, it's going to be extra cool. Well, my contractor came over, and when we were standing outside, he's running around like a maniac. And he said, I'm slowing down a little bit. This is going to be perfect. I'm going to have a hole in my schedule to do this renovation, because he mostly does new homes. But he acted nervous. So for everybody out there who is watching the market slow down, so I said, Jordan, we're standing on the sidewalk, like 30 feet from where I'm sitting. I said, can I give you some unsolicited coaching? He's like, absolutely. Because we sell all of his homes, good friends. I said, this is a unique time for you to slow the bleep down, right? And actually think about what you want from your business. Because if you don't, in 12 months or 24 or 60, you're going to be right where you are today. I said, how many superintendents do you have? Well, 1 besides me. I said, okay. Is that what you want? Well, no, I'd love to have more people. I'd love to sell more homes, build more homes. They're doing like 30 homes a year. I said, what you would do by design is you'd say, where do you want to be in 5 years? Well, where do you want to be in a year? 3 years, 5 years. Well, in 5 years, I'd like to do 100 homes a year. Okay. So I said, you would back into, well, who would I have to be and what would my operation have to look like to do 100 homes? 100. And this is, by the way, guys, like a home at a time. This isn't Pulte or Del Webb or, or DR Horton. You understand? And I said, what would you need? And he's like, I don't know, 3 more superintendents and 2 more office staff. I said, well, there you go. Right. Well, what's the next hire? So that's by design, but by being driven or drifting is what we talked about. Drivenness is always pushing. He's being driven. He's driven because he's like, got to build homes, got to work long hours. Jesse, how many times have we heard this? I've got to live like no other so I can live like no other. I mean, and even people that we really like say that, but just the Grant Cardone. What are you, some sort of lazy ass? You got to work harder. Does that sound like Cardone?
Does Grant Cardone, did you like Grant Cardone or does he not resonate with you?
So let me tell you, I don't like him and I like what he says. Does that make sense?
Totally.
I really dislike the guy.
Which is funny because you don't know him, but I had the same thing that I would get so triggered listening to him. When I stopped to really listen to what he says a lot of really good stuff. I just missed it for so many years. Correct.
So we've been going through this whole wealth building series at my team, and we watch all his videos. When he goes up on his whiteboard in his boiler room and he starts doing stuff, and his guys are like, yeah, there's a lot of wisdom. So that's that drivenness. And then we can keep going to questions. That drivenness is not, what did I say on our call? Oh, ask your children and your dog how much they like your drivenness. And they'll say, we're not fans.
2 thumbs down.
Two thumbs down. That was it.
That was literally the quote that has gone in my head. And maybe you and I were on the same, like your kids are slightly older than mine, but I got a 3 and a 6-year-old. That was what stuck with me. That was what haunted me for weeks since your call, was that thought of like, I'm so proud of being so driven. And honestly, ask my dog. Actually, I don't have a dog these days, but ask my kids, more importantly, ask my wife, more importantly, how they like me being driven. 2 big thumbs down.
Well, because here's what it looks like. Yeah, yeah, honey. I'm busy. Hey, one of your kids, I'm busy, right? So, and then drifting is like you have no plan. And then just summing this all up, drifting and driven actually kind of look the same, right? They can be the same. So anyway, that was a long and a short. The short answer is being intentional. The long answer is you'd look ahead a few years. And by the way, guys, you don't know what's going to happen in 10 years. I mean, they could stop realtors, right? In 10 years, right? We don't have any idea.
Yeah.
That's a long way. 5 years is a little more like a benchmark.
But that was a fantastic answer. So this will tie into our first question, which came from Sarah C. She had asked, and I'm keeping an eye on, guys, if you're watching this live on Facebook, type them in live. These are some user submitted questions previously. When we put the post about this, people threw these in. So the question for you is, when you're looking 3 to 5 years out for your design, let's see, where's her question up here? No, she's talking about a different question. She was asking when you first discovered this concept, but I wanted to know about, it was down here. Steve was asking, do you design your day or month? Like, I know you're looking 3 to 5 years out, but do you actually design like your day and your month and how that fits into the bigger plan? How does that reconcile?
So, gosh, look, there's a lot of ways to do this. So I'd almost do it like this. There's 5 years from now and there's the next hour, right? And, and you're kind of juxtaposing, because here's the thing, guys. You can't go, I decided, this is why the law of attraction kind of drove people a little bit crazy after it went through its first iteration. Because people are like, I just sit around and meditate. Because it was almost at that time, remember that, Jesse? It was peddled that way.
Oh yeah.
Like, you just sit around and attract stuff. So you had like Tom Ferry and you had, Tony Robbins and Grant Cardone, and anybody honestly who has been productive they're like, well, the energetic piece of that's real, but you have to work, right? So where I'm going with this, you're like, where's he going? Where I'm going is you juxtapose between like, where do I want my business to be in 5 years? There's a great book that everyone ought to get. The Road Less Stupid, Keith Cunningham.
I've never heard of that.
It's incredible. Gary Keller is a huge fan of it. I'm a KW guy. Well, whatever. I mean, I love KW. I love there's a lot of great companies. But Keith Cunningham's out of Texas. Everyone, Jesse, I should have recommended this to you guys forever ago. They're tiny chapters. Keith teaches what's called thinking time. So thinking time goes like this. You sit down and you get on a notepad and you name an issue. Well, the issue is, okay, I want a 5-year vision for my business. You sit down and you literally calendar an hour or 45 minutes and minimum probably 30, and you let it come to you and you write. It's called thinking time. You could be doing it about hiring an assistant or a 10-year vision for your business. So you're juxtaposing the fact that you need to sit down and go, if I could just write a script, and this is one of my favorite, by the way, seller and buyer lines. So if Jesse calls me and he's a buyer or seller and he's wanting to buy, yeah, I was kind of interested in the home at 123, Banana Street, or yeah, I want to sell my home at, 123 XYZ Street. I always say this, Jesse, if you could write a script, what would the timeline look like on this process? So that's a good way to creatively and warmly say, and then I'll bring this back, when do you want to sell your house? And so if you bring this back, if you could write a script about your business, like what would you want it to look like? Tom Ferry is awesome with the future self letter, the future vision letter, where you go out 10 years and you meet yourself and you write this vision. And by the way, that's astonishingly powerful because most of us have looked back a decade and been like, whoa, I've achieved most of that. You're juxtaposing, I know, guys, long answer, with the fact that today there are actions that have to be taken. And so those are very unsexy actions like, I will lead generate from 9 to 11. Ta-da! I will speak to 10 people before I go home today. I will hold 2 open houses per month. I will write 10 handwritten thank you notes per week. Guy, by the way, you need a business plan. It's called a Google sheet, right? Couldn't you do it on a piece of paper? But we overcomplicate it. Hey, does somebody have a business plan that I can fill in? Look.
Check this out, Jeremy. I was at an event a couple of weeks ago, right? You're talking about, this is an EXP event. And one of the guys on stage, one of my mentors said, what my business plan is? I fold it up, I keep it in my wallet everywhere I go. He unfolds it, boom, there it is. Here's my business plan, right?
Dude.
I got mine right here. That's it.
Killer.
That's my business plan.
It's so present, 3x5 card. So the answer is yes, because the question was it this or that? The answer is you're planning a long-term vision while you're going, the day job has to be handled. And the day job is I have to find clients and build my database today, right? I have to sell homes to feed my family today because this is a business. Long answer, but that's it.
That's fantastic. What Will had asked, what's the biggest piece of advice when it comes to designing your life and your business? I mean, you just gave some really good stuff, but do you have one thing, if you were to, maybe we'll focus this, where would you start?
So I'm going to steal something from one of my business partners. His name is Jesse Paul. Maybe he's watching this. He helped me this morning a lot anyway, it's a long story. Had an issue with I literally damaged my own, wrecked my own vehicle basically this morning. You want to hear a funny story? It's going to be the first public sharing of this story.
I'm excited to hear this story.
My team doesn't know this story unless they're watching. So team, if you're watching, we were supposed to put on a radio show 45 minutes away in a place called Iron County. We're in Washington County. And the long story short is I pulled out, I'm meeting my business partner 15 minutes away on the freeway at a freeway overpass to do a drug deal. Just kidding. I'm going to pick him up and we're going to drive up. I'm in a flurry. I'm late. I'm doing this. I tend to do this. By the way, guys, we're going to do right now. We're on track for 212 closings and about 100 million this year. Yeah, they're big numbers, right? I mean, they're not the biggest, but that's important to say that
they're pretty big. Those are good numbers.
Those are big numbers, right?
Yeah.
And here's the funny part. You're going to hear the insane idiocy of what happened. I pull my truck in front of my house the wrong way, like against traffic, right? Not parked. You get it right. Parked backwards. It's on, and my fan's running really loud. I have a Ford F-150 truck, mountain biking, skiing, that stuff. I'm like, why the heck is the fan so loud? It stops. I'm listening. It stops, and I say, I'm going to get my sunglasses. I put it in park. I didn't put it in park. It was in reverse. Door open. My truck backs around my street like this. I run. I live on the shaded street. I run like a maniac. I mean, guys, do you understand the feeling of this? I run, and I said it's going to go to my neighbor's home. My neighbor's home was built in 1870. It's like historic right here. The back left tire goes into a ditch, like a gutter, right, on the street, and the door kind of rips open against a tree, against a giant mulberry tree. No kidding. I can't close the front door. So the front left door, the driver's door, and the rear door are completely like caved in. I can't close the door.
But it stopped at the curb at least.
Yeah.
Or stopped at the tree.
So yeah. So this is such a crazy story. Oh, how funny. Somebody's on this thing on Zoom as from my team now is Jeremy Larkin. That's too funny. It's probably Carrie. My director of operations. So that is me, guys. So this is a true story. So you're like, where is he going? There's
hold on. I got to make a note for our editor. So Zach, when you make sure Brent, when he edits this, you know the concept called ghost ride the whip from the hip hop industry. You know what the ghost ride the whip means? Okay. Jeremy inadvertently ghost ride the whip around his little suburban neighborhood in St. George, Utah. So I want to edit in a clip of someone ghost riding the whip. You've got to cut it together with Jeremy here.
Here's why I'm telling the story. 3 hours ago, I wouldn't have told this story because it's in such shock. But I think the authenticity matters. It matters for the question that was asked. Okay. So I'm standing there so my nervous system's freaking out, right? I called Jesse and I said, I've got a huge problem. Where are you? Well, I'm at this town. I said, yeah, we're supposed to be there in 65 minutes for this show. My truck, I can't close my front door. I just did this thing. He's like, what? Here's the funny part. It just came out of the auto body shop because it had a front right bumper had damage from being in Bryce Canyon. And so much shame. So this is actually, can we go deep today? Is this cool?
Yeah, we can go deep because I got some questions for you, but go ahead.
Okay. So I want to be cautious because we're in a world of, you're going to have the gender you want. But it is traditionally very male to have shame. The first, when you crash your bike, the first thing you think is who saw it, right? Like who watched me wreck my car, my bike. We've dealt with this since we were kids. So I'm in there, I'm having shame in the street. I'm a guy with $100 million sales business. And by the way, guys, really good margins. We have great margins, not just 100 million in sales. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I called Jesse, and Jesse has taught me something. So I'm going to quote him, and it's going to be really helpful. So Jesse always asks this question: who do you want to be? What kind of man or woman do you want to be? How do you want to be remembered when you die? Now, guys, there were some expletives that came out of my mouth on this phone call. Right. But I really had to. The question is, ask the question again, Jesse, will you? Will you read it again?
Yeah, let's see. I kind of put a few of them. The biggest, Jeremy, what is the biggest piece of advice when it comes to designing your life and your business?
Bingo. Okay. Now, do you see why I told the story? The biggest piece of advice is not from me. It's always from someone else. You know how that is? I think we really have to decide, well, what the heck do we want to, who do we want to be? And so in that moment, we do crazy things as humans. If you deal with addiction, you act out in your addiction, or, if you'll get hammered and drink a bunch, or whatever you do, we do things and we're like, I deserved it, right? I deserve to make myself feel better. So it's crazy. I walked in my backyard and I'm like holding on to something I can't believe, I'm literally in shock. He says, I'm going to come to town and we're going to call into the radio when we can. We actually can call into the studio through Facebook Messenger. So he said, he asked me a question. I said, I'll call you back in 15 minutes. And I sat down, I turned on Headspace on my phone and I did a meditation. Just bring it back. Guys, I'm not a great meditator. I'm not a Zen guy, but you know what I mean? But I can use a tool. And so that's these are long answers. Who do you want to be? And that is going to shape everything. Because I got to tell you something. Some people will be like, I want to be richer than God, and I don't freaking care about who gets in the way. Well, okay. I mean, but Agent Power Huddle isn't about us making a judgment on that. It's like, maybe that's your goal.
Yeah, if that's their goal, go for it. But,
right?
But it's not yours.
Yeah. So you have to say, who do I want to be? How do I want to, what's a legacy? And, you know, I mentioned Jesse again. He'd always ask, what are they going to say on your eulogy? It sounds like an Instagram thing, but really, you know, a good friend of mine, Ryan Mickler, he has a group called Order of Man. There will be people who will watch this who know who Order of Man is. It's a really cool group. And it's really about helping, you know, men specifically become better husbands and fathers and citizens. And he shared something really great this week. He said, my kid wants to be just like me. His 14-year-old son. My job is to make sure that's a good option. I was like, dang, man, how cool is that? You know, that's it. That's how you do it.
I love it. And I just looked, I'm actually part of the Order of Man group, but I didn't know what it was.
Right. It's pretty cool. It's a good group.
I should check it out. Huh. Mm-hmm. Those, I know you keep saying they're long answers. They're incredible answers though. They're good. This is why we're here. This is what I love.
They're real. They're real.
And that's what I love about you is you're very authentic. The word gets tossed around a lot, whatever authenticity means.
Yep.
Like but you are you, and I can talk to you, and I know I'm talking to my buddy Jeremy, but I'm going to get wisdom from my friend. We got a few more minutes. If you guys are on Facebook, you have any questions live. Otherwise, I'm going to keep firing from my list. But I want to ask one to kind of follow up on the truck tree, as it will affectionately known, the truck tree incident. Too soon? Too soon for cute names?
Classic. No, okay. Now it's funny. It's funny now.
All right, cool. So I find in my own life, I'm easily distractible. I can focus and I can just like power it out. But I think you and me are a little similar. That was like squirrel, right? You go here, you go there. I find that when I do things like that, it's simply because my mind is running on 3 other things. And I'm just not like, I went on so anyway, just before I tell about myself, but is that what happened with this morning?
100%. And so this is a really cool share for anybody who's trying to build a team or even just look, you've taken a listening. I have been beating, you know, they say the beatings will continue until morale improves. I've been beating my team with this idea. I said, we have to slow down. Stop rushing the listing to the market. Because look, we talked high level. Let's talk tactically for a minute. Stop. Well, the seller said they wanted it on Thursday. When did you get photos? Wednesday? I'm like, what are you doing shooting photos on Wednesday? Because we do professional photos. We do it nicely, right? Why are you trying to hurry home to the market the next day? When you could get the photos back, review them. If something needs to be touched up, fix it. Work with the team. Shoot, maybe you want to do an open house to roll this thing out to the market. Maybe it's just a simple neighborhood, right? Throw out a dozen signs and just be the first person there when some of the buyers show up. I'm not even talking mega open house. But I said, guys, here's the punchline. Every problem we have in our business, most of the problems we have in our business are from rushing. So look what I just did. Dude, I'll be out. That truck will be gone for a month, for sure. Right? It will. By the time it goes to collision place, they fix it. Absurd. And so I was trying to do too many things at once, and I was trying to rush. I was trying to be last minute, and that doesn't work.
But I love putting that back down into the tactical level for your team. I'd never thought that, but you're right. In business, probably the majority of mistakes are made by rushing. Some might be made by lack of skill. A lot are made by mindset, but mostly it's by rushing. Like I've lost $1 million listing through rushing. I can have a specific moment, won't tell the story, but I know exactly in hindsight, it was absolutely rushing.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's how you rush. I have no idea what the story was. Here's a classic case of rushing. They taught you the pre-qual script. There's 10 questions. There's 13 questions. There's 9 questions. You decided you didn't need to ask them all, right? You know, and then you find out that there was 3 other people ahead of you and 2 behind you, and the spouse wasn't going to be there. And it's like, dude, I did it again. I didn't follow the process.
Right.
So,
but I think when you find yourself rushing, to kind of tie this back together with being driven, drifting, or by design, it's probably an indicator that you're off your path. So I'll give you my quick story.
Ooh.
I went up to Lake Havasu last week, drove to Lake Havasu, about a 6-hour drive from San Diego, did something there, drove back down the next day to the Riverside, did an in-person event there, then back to San Diego. It was this whirlwind trip of like in 48 hours, 3 different cities, a bunch of driving, Zooms in between. And I left at the meeting in Riverside. I left my backpack in the corner of the coffee shop because I just stuck into the corner. That's only the beginning, Jeremy. At my hotel I stayed in that night, I left my guitar. I travel with my guitar sometimes. It's right there on the wall. I had my guitar sitting outside my hotel room door. I set it down when I went to open my door at 11 o'clock at night, left it outside, got a call from hotel security at 1 a.m. Ring. I was exhausted.
Yeah. Talk about shocking.
I was like, what is going on? They're like, hi, sir. Do you have a guitar? I'm like, I do have a guitar. Yeah, we have it down in security. How'd you get my guitar? Oh, you left it outside.
You guys come in my room?
Right. And then the next day I'm trying to get, this comes in threes. The next day I'm trying to get dressed to go do my presentation and I can't find my pants. I have one pair of dress pants I brought with me. I'm like, where are my pants? Like, whatever, I'll wear jeans, wear something else. I walk outside, they're hanging on a rack outside. I had dropped them on the way from my car to my hotel room. They were hanging on a rack outside that someone had hung them up for me. Okay.
Yeah. The old, hey, well, we'll put them here. Maybe they'll come back.
Right. And I came back and found my pants. So I wasn't walking around naked. Don't worry, guys. I had other pants on, but like, this was an indicator that I was, dude, this is way beyond Driven, which I think is an album by Pantera, but that's a separate reference. Anyway, this is
classic.
This is an indicator. This is an indicator. So Jeremy, if you want to tie it together, when we get signals like this in our life, what should we do?
Honestly, dude, I don't even think it's slow down. I think it is literally hard stop. When I say hard stop, I'm talking like clear your calendar that afternoon and go internal and go, okay. Like if you ram your truck into a tree without you in it, the calendar gets really clear really quick. Now, I mean, not totally, right? Here we are. But I think it's hard stop, and it's not a hard stop, it's a hard pause, like a real serious pause. I love what you said. It's how you know you're off track. That's what we talked about on that other show. Like, gosh, I'm off track. It's so crazy because in the driven society we're in, and while we're also arguing about vaccines and politics and just so much distraction, most of us don't even know what we're feeling. You know what I mean? Like, geez, what do I even feel? Like, what's an emotion? By the way, anger and joy, those aren't the only two emotions, because that's kind of what we think we feel, right? Anger, lots of it. I can't believe the liberals, conservatives, Democrats, Republicans, right? Like, insert the thing. Like, we don't even know how we feel because of the busy race. So
that is well said. And I love hard stop, which is actually funny enough what I did intuitively, but I didn't have words to put to it. Mm-hmm. And that's why your words, like literally, I saw your Agent Power Huddle a week before that. Then I did this thing. I had those things happen, and your words have been haunting me in a good way. No, they have the by design. And so I actually have a little game plan. I solved some of my challenges over here.
Whoa.
I brought it down to 4 things between now and the end of the year. Cause then I got all stressed and I was like, I got to solve these all today. Nope. I got to give myself a realistic timeline. So I have 4 things to solve between now and the end of the year, and they're all doable within that amount of time, and just putting things back together by design. It really was.
I love that. Let me capstone this really quick.
Yeah.
Yesterday, we went on a bike ride mid-morning. Here's the funny part. Since I rammed the truck, we did a radio show live via Facebook Messenger, and we went mountain biking on a Tuesday. Guys, let me ask you a question. Do you think I needed a bike ride more or less? More, like right then. I was so discombobulated, and I totally faked the show, right? Because we're in business, and not faked, but I was like,
you autopiloted.
I straight autopiloted. And by the way, we've done 400 radio shows. So it's like, we just got on the air for 25 minutes and faked it. And then when it was off, I was like, And so yesterday we were talking to the team, and it's a quote I don't know who made it, but it's about meditation. Man, I have no time to meditate for 15 minutes. Why? Because my life's out of control and busy. And the guy says, sounds like you need an hour of meditation, right? You need more slowing down, not less. You need more self-care, not less. So,
Jeremy,
this business sucks. Did I say that? In a lot of ways. It's built, I'll wrap it with this. It's built an incredible life for me. I have tons of freedom. Here I am looking like this on a Tuesday. I love real estate in so many ways, but it steals people's lives from them. Don't let it. Don't do it. you know.
Jeremy, dude, you're awesome. I just love this. So I'm going to wrap it here to be respectful of your time and everyone else's time. You got to go figure out a way to rebuild the truck out of Lego parts.
Yeah, I got to get it down to the dealer by somehow.
Yeah, you're gonna carry it block by block anyway. Text me your calendar link. I don't know if you text or email it to me because I want to talk offline, dude. I miss you.
Yeah,
this is awesome.
I'll send it now.
All right, guys.
Bye, guys.
Have a wonderful day. Bye, everybody.
Later. Bye.
Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.